It's time for Agriculture, presented by TURKANA Farms in Germantown, New York, a small-scale producer of heritage breed livestock and a wide array of vegetables and berries on just over 39 acres. They also produce a full array of garden vegetables, many of them heirloom varieties raised naturally, as well as an assortment of berries, including raspberries, blackberries, gooseberries, black, red, and white currants, mulberries, and elderberries. And now, here's Mark Scherzer.
In the nick of time, at least I hope so, the ongoing saga of getting our new barn fully operational for winter, a goal dependent on electricity being brought from the house via a 500-foot-long trench, is coming to a close on the very first weekend of winter. Many thanks are in order. In a previous bulletin, Troy lauded his and Victoria's friends Hannah and Lila, and my friends Eric and Paul. As guests for weekend getaways, they spent their leisure time helping clear debris in the areas near the barn where the trench had to go. Paul even came back for a second weekend to spend hours digging with a shovel and pry bar, when he could have been hiking his beloved nearby mountain trails. An attentive bulletin reader, David, called me immediately after reading my bulletin about digging through the shale to generously offer the loan of an electric jackhammer he had used to dig through the rock ridge behind his house on the Rojan for similar purposes. I was over at his house within hours. We were lucky that the shale areas were all within range of a 50-foot extension cord run from either the back of the garage or the house. When the insurance proceeds ran out and we still faced $30,000 of expenses to finish the barn, my sister and brother-in-law, Jolie and Doug, came forward with a loan for the balance required. It was critical help at a cash-short moment. Our electricians, Chris and Dan, and carpenter, John, gave up weekends fitting completion of the barn's lighting and power and internal features like stalls and mangers into their otherwise pressing work schedules. Thanks to them, and to recent modifications Victoria and I helped Troy to complete, we will have fully operational mangers and near eternal light. The LED fixtures are rated to provide 50,000 hours per bulb, in time for Christmas and Hanukkah. Mangers and lights, a nice ecumenical touch. The electricians told us last weekend that they could install the conduit and wiring and hook up the barn's electricity this weekend if all the trenching from the back of the house to the barn were ready. If not, they said, the next chance for installation would not be until mid-January. And of course, the farm in mid-January is as likely as not to be frozen in a foot or more of snow that could last until March. So we felt a particular urgency. Troy rented a trenching machine for last weekend, which did a beautiful straight furrow through the soft earth south of the vegetable garden, and in other areas we hadn't hand-dug near the barn, in just a few hours. It was not clear it would have such success because torrential recent rains that followed upon 18 inches of snow created a prodigious amounts of mud that threatened to clog the works. Troy tried the trencher in the shale areas, but it struggled, sputtered, and seemed it would be damaged if he pushed it too hard. I did some research on building codes to see just how deeply we really had to go. From what I could tell, on top of solid rock, and I verified that the shale ridge would count as that, we really only had to go 2 inches down, with 2 inches of concrete over the conduit. But our electricians advised to dig as deep as possible, even in those shale areas, in order to make the task of pouring concrete much easier. By code, when the conduit is encased in 2 inches of concrete in a 12-inch rather than 18-inch trench, that's kosher virtually anywhere. So we had to get back to work. Though I had done several hours of jackhammering and digging Saturday and Sunday, we were nowhere close to our goal. I took off work on Monday for a final concerted push. Troy and Victoria did hand digging to restore the trench back to the 18 inches wherever there had been collapses, and to complete the trench in areas where trenchers couldn't go. While they did that, I went at the shale with a jackhammer for pretty steadily 6 hours. It was satisfying work. Events that weekend and the week before had instilled a fair amount of anger and confusion in my heart and mind, and the aggression required to operate the jackhammer acted like a relief valve and clearing mechanism. The effort helped lift a considerable dark cloud, and I took a certain satisfaction in doing such a butch activity. By the time I left Monday afternoon, Troy was just finishing hand digging the last of the trench next to the house, near the point from which the line would emerge. We had reached our goal. What we were told would likely be a $5,000 cost for completing the trench if contracted out was accomplished for a cash outlay of about $200. If all goes smoothly, by Monday we will be fully operational. A big hay delivery on Monday should mean we are well set up for the coldest part of winter. I thought wistfully of our neighbor Ann Ryder, who died in October. She had frequently told us of the comfort she derived from seeing the light shining on our north barn door from her house across the pasture. Restoring that north light would have been a perfect Christmas gift to her. We, in the loving volunteerism of our friends, the generosity of our family, and the diligent efforts of our community contractors, have already received our gifts.
Agriculture is underwritten by TURKANA Farms, LLC, a small-scale producer of heritage-bred livestock and a wide array of vegetables and berries on just over 39 acres in Germantown, New York. More information, 518-537-3815.